Moving on to our next presentation, which is going to talk about the draft safety bill and policies. Where are they? What is the state? How can it be passed? So this presentation will be taken with one of our former ILO programs director. He's also a FOSHA member. He's of a name Mr. Kwamena Amwesi Ando.
I was telling our MC that I was asking him whether he's a Ghanaian because he's crucifying our names. My president is pardon? Yes, he's a victim. My name is Kwamena Amuesi Ando Kwamena, and my Kwamena is Kwami. Okay. I'm standing here with mixed feelings, happy and sad. Happy because we have got professionals in Ghana whom we can use to make sure that we really put our safety and health together properly, especially the last but one presenter. I mean, he made me very happy when he combined the situation in the US and the UK to us. Yes, we have got laws in Ghana as far as OC is concerned, but I will tell you the type of laws we have and the attempts that we have made to really put a proper thing like the way our brother gave to us, and where it is now, and what we can do to get it passed. That is the whole basis of my presentation. You are showing a wrong slide. I have mine here, but you won't see it. So it takes some little bit time to find. But that's okay, we can wait. Okay, you have got it. Let us see the slide 2, the outline of the presentation. Yes. We are not going to follow it strictly, but most of these items will come. We are going to talk about OSHI, what is OSHI, and then we are going to talk about the ILO Convention 155 on OSHI. And then we will also talk about the recommendation 197 is also on OSHI. Then the reason why I will talk about all of them is that they have informed, in fact, it's a law, international law, that they have to inform your OSHI policy and law. So I'll talk about them first, very briefly, and then you will see the OSHI policy and the law. Then where it is, for the past 10 years, from 2011, 2012, we are now in 2023. Where has it been passing all this ground? And currently where it is, and what can we do to get it passed? And what is the role of OSHA Association in this, so that we make sure that it comes. So this is the way we are going to go about it. See, normally when we talk about Convention 155, it's a very omnibus. What is convention as far as ILO is concerned? Sorry, I am assuming certain things. Convention is a law, it's a standard, it's law, an international law, which is developed by the United Nations through the International Labour Organization to guide the world of work. So convention is a law or a standard developed by the United Nations through the International Labour Organization to guide the world of work. So wherever you work, there should be some laws to guide you, guide the employer, guide the employee, and even guide the government, who is the liberator. Okay, and it is these laws developed by United Nations through the ILO that we call them conventions. Conventions. Okay, so convention concerning occupational safety and health and the working environment was named Convention 155. And basically, it says that each member nation of the United Nations shall, and the word is shall, in the light of national conditions and practice, and in consultation with the most representative organization of employers and workers, formulate, implement, and periodically review a coherent national policy and laws on occupational safety and health. Occupational safety, occupational health, and the working environment. And the aim of the policy shall be to prevent accidents and injury to health arising out of, link with, or occurring in the course of work by minimizing, so far as is reasonably practicable, the causes of hazards inherent in the working environment. So it's a very loaded definition, but slowly we will understand all of them. And occupational safety, security, health, and environment is what we call OSHE. And normally the actual acronym word is OSSHE. Occupational safety, security, health, and environment. And we say it depicts anywhere work occupation, it depicts anywhere work takes place. It can be your home, your kitchen, vehicle, in the vehicle shop, factory, office, sea and water, in the sea, in the ship or in the boat, people are working, vessel, school, farm, and these days, even in the moon, people are in the moon working. So work should take place in these areas under strict laws and rules and regulating and guiding in safety, security, health, and the environment. And it is this law that we are talking about. These laws are legislated by government, parliament, and countries, of countries. The United Nations, through the ILO, guide countries to each of these laws through conventions, regulations, and recommendations, as I've already said. Now, before I come there, let me bring this empty this in here. Okay. I wanted the reason why I made this here. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, the Ghana draft OSHE bill and policy. So we have occupational safety and health policy. And then we have occupational safety and health bill. We call it bill because it's not yet law. So it's a draft. A draft law is called a bill. The original draft went into cabinet early 2018. But as my brother was talking about, in 2012, when we finished, it went to parliament, but they didn't, it went to cabinet, but they didn't work on it. So we withdrew and worked on it again, and in 2018, it went to parliament. Cabinet did not approve making DFI an authority because the law, just like any other country, the department which does the OSHA in the US, it's a huge department with a lot of regulators and qualified officers who go around and insist for the right thing to be done. So we felt that when we were drafting the law, we felt that Department of Factory Inspectorate would be the best place to situate the law. When it went to cabinet, cabinet said that we are creating turf wars. And the reason is that the Ghana Standard Board has got some standards that which are basically safety issues. EPA has got the same thing, they are all authority. And Ghana Road Safety Authority, in fact, I led Ghana Road Safety Authority to be made authority. I got a lot of money from BUSAC, and we used it to advocate for them to get from commission to authority, so that they will be able to actually buy it. Now, after creating all these authorities, Cabinet was telling us that you have also created TEFs, and that these people will be fighting. So let us find a way to address it. The draft was reviewed and stakeholder validation took place in May 2019. The new draft follows the ILO recommendation and guidelines and adopt Convention 155 and allow other institutions to implement sessions relevant to their operations. So we thought that we have solved the problem, but you listen to what has happened. So the second draft referred to Cabinet in October 2019. Then the omnipotent, what happened? Before I go to what happened, let us see the laws that we put together. Factory Offices and Shops Act, 1963, EPA Act, FDA Act, Ghana Standard Board Act, and all those things, we look after them. These acts create TEFs for specific authorities and institutions which create disputes and loopholes which make their operations and implementation ineffective. For example, a food factory in Ghana will deal with DFI, FDA, Ghana Standard Authority, and EPA. How are these institutions coordinating the activity to make sure that safety issues are addressed? In the US, as our brother said, what they do is that in the department that he talked about, all these institutions are there. So if you are building your factory, you invite them, everybody will be there. So right from the word go, even fire service will be there. So what you should do to make firefighting easy will be told you, they will tell you. And whenever one of them go on inspection and get the result, they share to all of them, so they know what is happening. The new OSHA bill allows entities to plan in advance, taking into consideration all relevant safety, health, environment movements, and standards issues with the stakeholders. So that is what we were trying to address. Now, these are the scattered laws. Factory Offices and Shops Act, Mining Regulations, Workmen's Compensation, Radiation Protection Instrument, Environmental Protection Agency, National Road Safety Authority, Labor Act. The reason why I put this law red here, I will tell you the reason is that we didn't import most of the things they do into the safety law. And I'll tell you the reason. The Labor Act 2003 occupational health and safety policy and guidelines for health sector workers, and then HIV and STI workplace policy. Then you have security forces, police, fire service, and immigration. They also have laws. But we just look at the various key issues which concern the general population, but we didn't import the security services laws into the act. Now let us see more. The drug policy and bill is not an exclusive right of an institution, which normally attracts disputes among institutions. You see, we are addressing the concern of the then cabinet. They follow the ILO recommendation approach. And in the ILO, they assign functions to OSHI experts to develop, implement, monitor, and evaluate OSHI interventions, which are now compulsory requirements for businesses. I'll tell you why, you will know why now it's compulsory for businesses, because of the core labor standard situation we have. Make reporting on international conventions, recommendations, and guidelines of the UN and its agencies. Normally, it is the Ministry of Labor which does that, but DFI is also in the Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. So when all of them have gathered their report together, they can then sit down and write a report to report to the UN, because as maybe some of you don't know, but every year the conventions that we have ratified, you go and report on it. How are you implementing them? But our report on safety has always been very poor. Meet international standards. That is the only way. You know, in this country, even though we have experts like my brother here and the one who came from Saudi Arabia, people still regard us that we don't have the standards, we don't have the expertise. So if you go to the mines, they will bring somebody from Australia who has just done diploma in safety and be taking $25,000 a month. When an expert in Ghana work there, they give him $2,000-3,000 a month. But what we are saying that now we are developing a law that when you pass through and you all work together, you can become an expert. Even though you are a local expert, you can report or take contracts or bid from jobs from international organizations and any other organization. Let us see the current state of the bill. The draft bill, okay, sorry, I omitted one slide. Still on the OSHI policy. There is the need for the OSHI experts to take interest in the draft OSHI policy and bill, because it works with the international standards, as I said. So nobody can regard you as local expert. The international standards are there. Gives recognition and other roles to the OSHI experts in the implementation of the policy and act. It recommends effective training to local experts to offer services equal to that of the so-called international experts. Local OSHI experts can work for international enterprises as they will have the knowledge. So it is therefore in the interest of OSHI professionals to push for the enactment of the new policy and act. So we should push for the registration of the act. Current state of the bill. And listen, the draft bill and the policy was completed in 2018. That's the second completion, 2018. Then Cabinet looked at it in early 2019. And Cabinet referred it back to the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations and stakeholders to re-look at it in May 2019. And the issues they raised are the role of DFI as authority to supervise the bill vis-a-vis other regulators was challenged due to anticipated theft was. The new Road Safety Authority Act 2019, Act 993, was also, we were also referred to that, so we also had to go back and look at it. And then the security services were not included in the OSHI policy, but we went there and explained that, I mean, for example, Armed Forces Act, we cannot, because the armed forces, for example, they are basically out of the civilian system. Yes. So basically they understood it. In fact, there was a cabinet committee that we met. Bismarck, were you part of that? Okay, yes. So they eventually agreed. The current state of the bill, the draft bill and its policy documents were sent back to the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations from Cabinet as at the end of 2019. Won't you listen how it is happened? The Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and its social partners and the experts, we worked on them based on the cabinet recommendations. So we satisfied them. It was waiting for the stakeholder review and also attestation when the COVID-19, omnipotent COVID-19 struck the world, and everything came to a standstill. Now, the role of the OSHA Association and other stakeholders in the development and implementation of the bill. We need to participate and play. I've done a lot of repetition here, and the reason is the up and down of the bill. When it comes back, we have to find the rule and all those. Support the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and its social partners to submit to the new cabinet, current one, for the review and approval. Government then sponsored the bill and the policy to Parliament for scrutiny, review, debate, and pass for implementation. President to ratify, approve the bill into law, and then the law is ready for application. So currently, this is the state. So what do you do it? Now, before we come to what we should do it, we now know where the law is. So anybody, Bismarck is not with cabinet. It's now with us. In fact, I have a copy in my bag and on my computer. I can share with you. The ILO Convention 155 is now a core labor standard. What is the meaning of that? It is now compulsory to be implemented by all countries under the UN. So there's a new job which has come. The bill is ready. Then all of a sudden in June, ILO passed a resolution that 155 and 161, Convention 155 and Recommendation 161 should become a core labor standard. I'll pass you through what we mean by core labor standard. Straight away, as soon as that decision was taken, our draft bill became obsolete. We need to go back and work. It is now compulsory to be implemented by all countries under the UN. There are prescribed processes to follow to adopt a core labor standard into national laws. It means the bill must be looked at by experts supported by the ILO attestation to qualify to go back to the cabinet. So even though what we have is ready to go to cabinet, we cannot sign it. The ministry has agreed with its social partners to chart a process based on the new status of the OSHI bill and policy, which is to adopt the new core labor standard. So now we have to go back and incorporate the new core labor standard into it. The three-stage processes adopted are as follows. In fact, it is just last Tuesday that myself, the minister, and the chief director, and then other stakeholders, employers, workers, representatives agree on this process. Secure funds from friendly partners to fund the process. So that's the first header. Currently, we estimate that about 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars can suffice. But we need somebody to fund it. First stage, put together experts to work with the ILO to bring the bill to the core labor standards and get the ILO attestation. Luckily, Ghana is a full member of UN and full member of the ILO, so the attestation, they don't charge us. So we didn't cost that. All that we need is to work with them and get the attestation. Stage 2, stakeholders meeting to review the bill. After we have done and then attestation is done, you have to go back to stakeholders, big meeting, including OSHA Association and any other safety organization who want to come. They should give their contact to me. We will invite them. Then the original tripartite team, government, workers, and employers will be there. These are our fathers. They are the core tripartite team. So what we are going to do, we call it tripartite plus. Tripartite plus, we the experts and the NGOs and the think tanks, they will come. They will also come and help us to look at it. So these experts will finalize the bill to be sent to Cabinet for approval. Number 3, Parliament to pass the bill. What is the process? Parliamentary Subcommittee on Employment and State Enterprises workshop. And that workshop, my brothers and sisters, is very expensive because we meet about 25 of them in that committee for about 2-3 days. And those of you who have been in that committee before, oh, I haven't mentioned anything, but it's expensive. So we do that to win the buy-in of the subcommittee who will in turn lobby Parliament to pass the bill into law. This process has to be fast to meet the current Parliament to pass it before August 2024. You know that after August 2024, you won't get anybody in Parliament. They'll be in the field campaigning. So that is the task. Now, let me quickly take you through what is core labor standards and why it has thrown our bill back. Core labor standards are a series of rules and principles regarding the minimum standards recognized by the ILO, that's UN, and the international community for treating workers humanely, which every manager should be conversant with. Although ILO has adopted about 162 labor standards, the convention and conventions, labor standards and conventions, the ones referred to as 5 core labor standards now are those that the international community has agreed are applicable to all countries because they protect basic human rights. So that one, as soon as it's agreed at the UN level, whether you have ratified or not, it applies to you. And you are supposed to implement and report on it. Enforcement of these standards benefits a country as a whole, not only its workers, because the core labor standards are central to the healthy functioning of market economies. They create a level playing field for both foreign and domestic investors, thereby improving economic performance and productivity. You may not believe it, but even though China, for example, and the communist countries, including USSR, decided not to apply the UN conventions, but for the core labor standards, they decided to apply because that is the reason why China was able to host all the US companies, as my brother was talking about. Ghana has ratified all the 10 conventions which make the 5 core labor standards. This one is also very, I don't know, but I will explain. There's a difference between convention and the core labor standard. Yes, but as I go, you will understand. Because I'm talking about 10 conventions which make the 5 core labor standards of the ILO, and we need to adapt them into the national labor laws. And for that matter, our draft OCB. The key considerations are the core labor standards are fundamental principles that protect basic human rights in the workforce. The international community, largely through the International Labour Organization, a United Nations agency, bringing together representatives of all governments, employers, and workers, has developed a consensus with respect to the definition of the core labor standard, as stated in the ILO Declaration on Fundamental Principles of Rights at Workplace in the year 1998. And I'm happy to say that I was there. 1998 convention, I was there. ILO core labor standards, their aim, it's a consensus. The core labor standards aim to eliminate all forms of forced and compulsory labor. The man whose car was crashed was practicing forced labor. Eliminate all forms of forced and compulsory labor. Effectively abolish child labor. We shouldn't allow children to work. What is wrong with this? It goes off by itself. Is it okay now? Yeah. So eliminate discrimination in respect of employment and occupation. Ensure the freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining. Ensure safety, security, and health at all the workplace, and that is June 2022. This is what has made our last work useless. Ensure safety, security, and health at all at the workplace, June 2022. Specific definitions of these principles are spelled out in ILO Core Labor Standard Conventions. You can find them in the www.ilo.org conventions. Go to conventions or labor standards. www.ilo.org www.ilo.org/conventions or core labor standards. Okay, you will get them. Now, prevention of forced labor. I was saying 10 conventions make 5 labor standards, and the reason is this. Convention 29 and Convention 105, they come together to make the core labor standard 1, that is prevention of forced labor. And Convention 87 and 98, they come together to make Convention on Freedom of Association and Collective Bargaining. And Convention 100 and Convention 111, they come together to form elimination of discrimination and respect of employment. Elimination of discrimination and respect of employment, Convention 100 and 111. Abolition of worst forms of child labor. When you are living with your child and on your child labor or your house chores. But we are talking about worst forms of child labor, where some people, they put cocoa, half a bag of cocoa upon the head of a 12-year-old boy to carry from the village to the roadside. About happy. That one, and then it will also prevent him from going to school. So it's a worst forms of child labor. Then Convention 155 and Convention 161 and Recommendation 197, they also come together to form the new core labor standard called Safety and Health at the Workplace. Okay, so it's this last one, elements in this last one, and all the protocols involved. And I say protocol because when you are going to report on them, there are certain protocols that you have to follow, and all of them should be in the law. So this is what has taken us back. So, in conclusion, my brothers and sisters, What we have to do now is to make sure that we have adopted Convention 155. We have reviewed the bill again. Then we have passed it through all the processes. Experts, from the experts we come to the stakeholders meeting, then from there to cabinet, to parliament, and then it's passed. And we get the bill passed. Okay. Thank you so much, Osi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pamina Amoisi Ando. I hope I mentioned the name right. Okay. So we are going to have a 5 minutes break, but before the 5 minutes